The chitinous halls of the hive sphere's anthara gleamed with bioluminescent secretions, casting an eerie green glow across the organic architecture. Deep within the royal chambers, Prince Scrith lay motionless on his regeneration pod, his 6 legs withered and unresponsive, his compound eyes dim with the fog of starvation. The neural plague had ravaged his lower thorax 14 cycles ago, leaving the heir to the insectoid monarchy unable to feed himself through the traditional mandibular exchange required by his species. Jackson moved through the corridor with practiced silence, his environmental suit hissing softly as it adjusted to the humid, pheromone-thick atmosphere. He was the only human aboard Xanthara, a xenobiologist conscripted into diplomatic service after the Treaty of Proxima had forced an uneasy alliance between humanity and the Chittering Collective. His mission was simple, in theory: study the insectoids, bridge the cultural divide, survive. But nothing had prepared him for what he'd discovered 3 days ago. The monarch herself, Queen Vishara, had kept her son's condition secret from the collective. In insectoid culture, weakness was death. A prince who could not feed, who could not exchange royal jelly through the ritualistic mandibular coupling, was as good as dead already. To reveal his disability would mean immediate execution by the warrior caste, a mercy killing to preserve genetic purity. Jackson had stumbled upon the prince during a routine scan of the royal quarters, his equipment detecting the faint life signs behind a sealed membrane door. The sight had horrified him, a creature no larger than a horse, its iridescent carapace dulled by neglect, trembling with the shallow respiration of imminent death. "You should not be here, human." The voice emanated from the chamber's walls, a translation of pheromonal speech into his neural implant. Orla materialized from the shadows, her form smaller than the warrior caste but more elegant, bearing the silver markings of the skull. She was one of the few insectoids who had bothered to learn human languages, her curiosity about alien species considered eccentric by her kind. "He's dying," Jackson said, his voice flat through the translator. "How long has he been like this?" Orla's antennae drooped, a gesture Jackson had learned meant shame. 14 rotations. "We cannot feed him through normal means. His paralysis prevents the mandibular lock necessary for nutrient transfer. The Queen has tried everything: mechanical assistance, surgical intervention. Nothing works. The neural pathways are dead." Jackson approached the prince's pod, his gloved hand hovering over the creature's thorax. Up close, he could see the minute tremors, the desperate contraction of internal organs trying to extract nutrients from tissues that no longer existed. Scrith was consuming himself from the inside. "What if," Jackson began slowly, his mind racing through xenobiology protocols, "what if we bypass the mandibular system entirely?" Orla's compound eyes refracted the chamber's light, creating a kaleidoscope of suspicion. "Impossible. The royal jelly must be transferred through synchronized pheromonal exchange. It is not merely food, it contains genetic instructions, hormonal regulators, the collective consciousness of our people. To introduce it any other way would be ... violation. Or innovation." Jackson pulled up a holographic display from his wrist console, projecting anatomical scans he'd taken of insectoid biology. "Look here. The prince's digestive tract is still functional. The paralysis affects only the neural pathways controlling voluntary movement. If I could synthesize a delivery mechanism that mimics the pheromonal signatures of the mandibular exchange, but introduces the jelly directly into his esophageal chamber." "You speak of things you do not understand." Human Orla's voice carried a harmonic that Jackson's implant translated as warning. "The royal jelly is sacred. No alien hand has ever touched it. The Queen would have you dissolved in acid if you even suggested the Queen is watching her son die." Jackson's voice echoed through the organic chamber, surprising them both with its intensity. He took a breath, modulating his tone. "I've been here 6 months, Orla. I've seen how your people treat weakness, how you cull anything that doesn't fit the genetic ideal. But I've also seen the way Queen Vishara looks at those sealed doors. She's not just a monarch, she's a mother." Orla remained silent for a long moment, her antennae processing chemical information Jackson couldn't perceive. Finally, she spoke. "If you fail, you will be executed. Slowly, the warrior caste will ensure your death takes weeks. If I don't try, he'll be dead in 3 days." Jackson moved to his equipment case, extracting a modified medical synthesizer. "I need samples of the royal jelly. I need detailed scans of the pheromonal patterns during normal feeding. And I need you to trust that sometimes the impossible is just the improbable waiting to happen." For the first time since meeting her, Jackson saw something in Orla's posture that resembled Hopper's slight elevation of her thorax, a brightening of her compound eyes, She moved to the chamber's far wall, pressing her forelimbs against what appeared to be solid membrane. A section dilated, revealing a crystalline container filled with luminescent amber liquid. "This is from the Queen's personal reserve," Orla said, her voice barely above a whisper. "If you can truly do this, human, you will have achieved what no being in the collective has ever done. You will have changed our future." Jackson accepted the container with reverence, feeling the warmth of the jelly through his gloves. Inside the regeneration pod, Prince Screeth's breathing had become irregular, his body entering the final stages of organ failure. Time was running out. "Then let's make history," Jackson said, connecting the synthesizer to his diagnostic equipment. "Because I didn't come to the stars to watch someone die when I could do something about it." Orla moved beside him, her alien form now a partner rather than an observer, her scholar's mind already calculating probabilities and outcomes. Together, human and insectoid, they began the delicate work that would either save a dying prince or doom them both to unimaginable consequences. End of Episode 1.